Hello everybody and welcome to the Red Light Scrambler series. We are here live at Bristol Motor Speedway for a 200 lap race here tonight. It is the final round of the playoffs here, and we'll see who in the top 8 can get into the top 4 in 2 weeks time. This is the Racing Line Broadcasting Network. Thank you all for tuning in, and let's see what's in store here at the last Great Coliseum. So qualifying is over. Welcome once again to the Racing Line Broadcasting Network. As qualifying just now officially ends, we'll see who starts where here at Bristol Motor Speedway. As per usual, bringing you the commentary and the action. Apologies for the silence there. And the one-man crew, as per usual, Gary Weaver. So thank you once again for tuning in tonight. It's going to be quite interesting to see what happens here tonight. Starting grid is as follows. That being Kyle Souza on the front row. Sean Butler starts in second place, just 0.014 seconds off of Kyle Souza's lap time. Starting in third place will be the 86 of James Skelton. Max Terrio starts on his outside in position number 4. Position number 5 running out by Richard Murdoch in the 01. He said before, just off the air, I believe also in an interview at one point, that if he wins, or if he gets into the top 4, he's bringing back the Flames for the last race of the season. So hopefully we can see that sometime. Ryan O'Donnell, meanwhile, starts in the 98, over in 6th place, just to the outside of Richard Murdoch. In the row behind them, it's Andy Lee on the inside in 7th place. Tim Blum starts off in 8th place. 9th place is the 12 of William Wong, run out by the 7 of Leo Bordage, who starts in 10th place. Joshua Buckley starts in 2nd place. Joshua Buckley starts in 11th place in the number 2. DJ Anderson starts in 12th place to his outside. The 981 of Patrick Orr starts in lucky number 13, with the 20 of Brendan Minto to his outside. Running out the field, it will be Kevin O'Brien in the 184 and Christopher Rothrock in the 984. Running out this 16-car field here for tonight. 2 pace laps at Bristol for this initial start, or before this initial start. So thanks to everyone once again for tuning in. It's going to be quite an interesting 200 lap event here tonight. So one more pace lap remains here at Bristol Motor Speedway, as we'll be going green for the third to last race of the season. As you can see, it's the final round, top 4 advance to Atlanta. This is the one of 2 races in that round. In fact, I'll actually correct that, as the pace car will pull off. Puts the field in control of the 4 of Kyle Souza. As the green flag is out, we are racing at Bristol Motor Speedway. And immediately with a run on the outside, it's Sean Butler just off the first start All drivers in the top 8 will be labeled in the orange color that you see. The top 4 in the orange have a shot at getting in after Chicagoland next week. So it's Kyle Souza, and it looks to be, well, now it's going to be James Skelton and Kyle Souza side by side for position 4. Souza, unfortunately, rapidly dropping off the pace early on, as the first laps have been led by Sean Butler. And the caution is out for the first time tonight. It's Christopher Rothrock in the 984, just off of turn number 4. We'll see what exactly happened to him here. And it looks like it was actually just in front of Christopher Rothrock. It looks like the 2 of Joshua Buckley made a little bit of contact with the 51, and according to effect, Buckley slides up and gets tagged by the 984. And just barely getting out of the way, it's the 184 of Kevin O'Brien. So Buckley also involved. Took a moment to refire his car. On board the 184 of Kevin O'Brien. Oh, wow. That's not the first time we've seen that close of an avoidance. We saw it with another driver last night. If you were here, we saw it with another driver last night with the Flat Out Racing League with the Cage Cup Series over at Auto Club Speedway. Very, very close avoidance. So a few drivers hanging in the pit road, James Skelton being one of them. I believe James Skelton went to the wrong pit road by mistake originally, but now he should be in his proper pits. Also, Skelton is in pit road, same with Kyle Souza. Leo Bordich also in pit road, same with DJ Anderson, Patrick Orr, and Brendan Minto, along with Kevin O'Brien and Christopher Rothrock. So pretty much anybody 8th on back. Oh, the 184 of O'Brien, you saw him visibly back up. That's going to hurt him in the long run here on this pit stop. 20 is already down and away. It's basically half of the field that has went to pit road. Your top 8, as that recycles through over at the start-finish line, you'll see the field be properly set. So Kevin O'Brien, 16.5 second pit stop, 36.6 total seconds on pit road. As compared to Brendan Minto, who had a 14.9 second pit stop and 29.4 total seconds on pit road. So half of the field goes to pit road. An interesting strategy call. Max Terrio takes the top side on this restart, although I'm pretty sure it was Sean Butler who was in the lead at the time. We'll see what this shows. Yep, it's Sean Butler in the lead. So coincidentally, in real time, it's Max Terrio that is out in front. So pace car is off the racetrack field in control of the 88 of Sean Butler as we're green flag racing once again, and already a great start by Terrio. As they head down into turns 1 and 2, Butler hangs on to the inside. They nearly make contact off the back straightaway. Coming off turn number 2. Still a drag race, and it still remains in the clutches of Sean Butler, although at the line that time around it was Max Terrio. Twice, actually, both on the restart and that time around. While 200 laps does seem very long in this at this track, it's going to go by very quickly. Projected 47 minutes and 40 seconds as of, well, 2 seconds ago. So this race is possibly going to go by very quickly, but meanwhile, Tim Blum trying to get by on the inside of the 51 of DJ Anderson, but that does not work out, and you can see very prominently the top side working out for most drivers. William Long on the inside of Patrick Orr as they're battling for the 10th place position. This is usually the best camera to use as Long nearly clears the 981. Now he will. Will he slide up? He decides against it. A little bit of a battle just up ahead of them as well. That has immediately settled out. Battle in front immediately settling to a single file. William Long still trying to get by Patrick Orr on the inside, but that top side very prominent here at Bristol. As Kyle Souza, actually I thought The 2 was on the lead lap there for a few moments. He is not, unfortunately. Joshua Buckley 1 lap down in 16th. As the 981 of Patrick Orr gets by for 10th place. Now it's between James Skelton and William Long for position at number 11. The person with the best view of this battle is Joshua Buckley. Meanwhile, just in front of them, it's a little bit of 3-wide action, or near 3-wide action. Everyone's scrambling for positions as DJ Anderson gets by the 20 of Brendan Minto for position number 5. Ryan O'Donoghue on the inside, and that 98 also follows suit, at least attempts to follow suit. Meanwhile, just in front of them, quite literally, it is a brewing battle for 5th place once again between Minto and Anderson, who are riding on board with. As Minto, he's been having a little bit of connection issues throughout practice, so we'll hope that he can, his internet can handle through, as it's both Sean Butler and Max Terrio, positions 1 and 2, as they make their way around the racetrack on the top side. So does everybody else. William Long still side by side now with Joshua Buckley, even though Buckley isn't even on the lead lap. So unfortunately for William Long, he is really losing a lot of momentum in a lot of positions there on the inside. So that will not really help him out in the long run, but this could be a long run for William Long. That just depends if he can somehow find the momentum. Barely squeezes up in front of that number 2 of Buckley. He had a little bit of space, but he decided against it. The 86 of Skelton a little bit loose off turn number 2. May have gotten the piece of the wall as well. Just in front, it's Leo Bordage, who's also falling back on the inside lane. Pretty much the opposite of a freight train of Daytona. William Long now stuck behind the 7 of Bordage. It's still Max Terrio and Sean Butler up front. Richard Murdoch as well in line to advance, as you can see on the ticker. And that goes for DJ Anderson. So that means DJ Anderson is in a little bit of a hot seat. Tim Blum needs to pass DJ Anderson, essentially, in order to get into the top 4. James Skelton, William Long, and Leo Bordage need to follow suit as soon as possible. So your entire top 8 in points are here at this race, making up half of the field tonight. And your top 3 are guaranteed to be in at the moment. Nope, make that your... Nope, still top 3, actually. It's the lap car that's number 25. That's actually not a lap car. That's Andy Lee going by Richard Murdoch. Well, Andy Lee, although he's not in contention for points, he's been here a few times. He's been in this league. He's been out of this league as well. He's made a few appearances. Last time being at Richmond, from what I can remember recently. So now it's Richard Murdoch and DJ Anderson that will have to fight among themselves to see who's going to be in the bottom 4. Or sorry, the last 2 in the top 4 to advance. Oh, nearly the 01 and the 51 make contact there off turn number 2. As they nearly make contact, Brendan Minto, as we ride on board, is going to be capitalizing on this as soon as he can. Hopefully he will be able to, but that's going to, we're going to have to find out in due time. Meanwhile, speaking of capitalizing on situations, I saw a little bit of a shot there off turn number 2, turn number 4, I should say. Brendan, unfortunately, I do not know how names work all of a sudden. Sean Butler is trying to fend off Max Terrio just by running the top side, and he's doing a wonderful job at that so far. We're going to go back to your bottom 4 drivers here, being DJ Anderson. Well, actually, no, the last 2 in the top 4 being DJ Anderson and Richard Murdoch. They're still able to advance as Murdoch gets a little bit tail happy there off of turn number 2. Tim Blum, however, is directly behind Murdoch, so Tim Blum could advance, and Richard Murdoch may not. Nearly on top of the back bumper was Tim Blum. He'll move to the inside. So Richard Murdoch tries to fend off just by running the top side. That's not going to work. He's been loose off turn number 4, and we got a comment from another driver earlier on saying that the tire fall off the right rear will immediately fall off after about 35 laps of straight racing for the most part. And, well, we're reaching that 35 at the moment. As Andy Lee falls back to 5th place on the inside lane. Brendan Minto going to try to follow and pass the 01. Top 3 still playoff drivers. Make that your top 4 playoff drivers. And maybe your top 5 if the 01 and Murdoch can get by Andy Lee for position number 5. They're going to stick side by side here for a while. And DJ Anderson, the only driver within the top 6 to go to pit road, is now in the top 3, on the top 6 even, as William Long and Kyle Souza battling it out for the top 10. So those two have finally settled it out, with the 12 of William Long being victorious in that small little battle. As Andy Lee has went up to 3rd place, he's still dropping back places, unfortunately, at the moment. Currently 7th, and it will change when the 86 gets right by him as they drag race to the start-finish line. You can see the currently falls back to 8th, moves up back to 7th, and it will fall back to 8th as James Skelton gets by. So unfortunately for Andy Lee, he's back to where he started. He's back to 1 position lower than when he started, which was 7th place, as you hopefully saw on that graphic. So at the moment, we're planning to have a little bit of a break, essentially double wide or full commercial at the 50 lap point of this race. 50 lap intervals in this race, I should say. So we're going to break this race up into segments of our own just to keep a little bit of a break here. So lap 50, we'll go through your entire field and then we'll go for a break, as Brendan Minto is trying to get up into the top 5 before said break. But here comes James Skelton on the top side. It's either one or the other for some drivers, one of which being the top side, but you can see the momentum Brendan Minto gains, but the outside lane gets a huge burst of momentum off the corners. So if we ride on board James Skelton, watch number 20, he's falling back here, immediately gets a little bit of momentum boost in the middle of the corner here, and then the 01 just shoots right by him on the outside. Immediately right by him as well, to the point where, well, Murdoch almost cleared the number 20 in Minto, but now it's side by side between Minto and Skelton. That's how much the top side has a little bit to offer here. So we'll see what happens here in these next 3 or so laps. You won't miss a single thing, however, as we're going to be going double wide. You'll see the upcoming races as there's a little bit of contact between Murdoch and Skelton entering turn number 1. Skelton goes to the inside. You'll see the upcoming races on the Racing Line Broadcasting Network on the bottom left-hand side during double wide, including the next race of this season. Chicagoland has 90 laps. We'll see who the final 4 are in that race. Meanwhile, Max Terrio has gained a significant gap between himself and Sean Butler. Sean Butler has a larger gap between himself and Tim Blum in the form of 2.5 seconds. So go through your entire field pretty much right now while we still have the chance. So we have Max Terrio, who started 4th place, currently up to 1st. His lowest position does not really exist. Sean Butler starts 2nd, still in 2nd, so nothing different for him at the moment. Tim Blum, so far most positions gained, with 7 positions up on the racetrack, although that may go down to 6, as DJ Anderson, who started 12th, is looking for his 9th position gain. He currently sits 4th. We'll see how that goes, as the top 5 is being battled between James Skelton and Richard Murdoch, and possibly Brendan Minto. We'll focus on them for the most part during double wide. 8th place is Andy Lee, After going to third place and dropping back, unfortunately. William Long also dropped back on the inside. He currently sits in ninth. Nothing really lost there, although Patrick Orr may have something to say about that. He sits 10th. Kyle Souza, unfortunately, with the most positions lost, as he sits in 11th place after starting in the first place position. Ryan O'Donnell, 6th place, 6 positions lost, as he currently sits 12th. Leah Bordage, unlucky number 13 after starting in 10th. Kevin O'Brien is in 14th as the caution is out. Joshua Buckley, 15th, 16th. Christopher Rothrock, although he has been in pit road, so he is not the cause of the caution. And it is not a race control caution either. It's not competition, so it must have been a quick spin there here at Bristol. We'll see. It was a quick spin in the form of the 86 of James Skelton, making contact with Richard Murdoch when they were battling for 5th place. No, it's Brendan Minto that unfortunately punted him out of the way unintentionally, and that's going to give the 86 a little bit of heavy damage. So everyone is in pit road at the moment. Now, for the most part, most people are in pit road, as if you have stayed out your top 3, being Kyle Souza, Leah Bordage, Kevin O'Brien, they have stayed out. Aside from that, however, everyone else is in pit road, as you can see from here. Who will be first off? Will it be Terrio? It will be Terrios. Second off will be Sean Butler. Third off is Tim Blum. Fourth off, pit road, DJ Anderson. Fifth off is Richard Murdoch. So we'll see if Kyle Souza, Leah Bordage, and Kevin O'Brien come to pit road. They will. So that means Max Terrio will continue his lead of 24 current laps. It will be 25 if he can get by Kyle Souza. He does in time for scoring to catch up. So 25 laps led by Max Terrio. Not too bad for Terrio so far to start out. We'll go double wide on the restart when that settles out. Okay, that's a massive problem there. That was definitely over on iRacing's end. Everything should be fine, however, so apologies for that. If the stream did cut out, apologies. Right now on your restart, it will be Max Terrio restarting in first. Second place, it will be Sean Butler. Third is Tim Blum. Fourth, restarting on the outside lane, as DJ Anderson, teammate to Sean Butler, could possibly help out there. Richard Murdoch, hopefully bringing back the flames if he gets in the top 4. Restarts 5th place. Brendan Minto will restart 6th. 7th place will be William Long. 8th place, Ryan O'Donnell. 9th place, Patrick Orr. 10th place will be Andy Lee. Driver with the longest pit stop most recently is Andy Lee, ironically enough. Unfortunately, 39.7 total seconds on pit road, 25.4 seconds in his pit stop, so definitely repairing some damage. The shortest pit stop went to Sean Butler with 13.4 seconds, although even with the 27.7 total seconds on pit road, Max Terrio still managed to capitalize with just a little bit of a slower lap time. Sorry, a little bit of a slower pit stop and a total pit stop time on the pit road, which is about 0.4 seconds. Unfortunately, James Skelton, I believe, has officially decided to call it a night. For sure, Christopher Rothrock, he's been sitting in pit road for about 5 minutes. James Skelton has been sitting in pit road for about 2.5 minutes. And I believe Skelton may decide to put it behind the wall in a few moments' time. Pace car pulls off the racetrack. 2 cars off, 14 remain, 13 of which are on the lead lap. 1 car, 1 lap down. Green flag is back out. Sean Butler with a great restart on the outside. And immediately, Max Terrio capitalizes on that as quickly as possible. These laps are going by quickly, as it's already been another 10 minutes since we told you the projected time to finish. But aside from that, though, Tim Blum is on the inside of DJ Anderson, trying to get by, trying to get alongside, split up those 2 Need for Speed teammates, and he might just do that off turn number 4. He does not, however. as they remain side by side. The advantage going to the 51 of DJ Anderson. Tim Blum, however, trying to capitalize on the inside as much as he can. William Long trying to get by the 98 of Ryan O'Donnell, trying to get at least up in front. He does have a little bit of space open, but you can see that momentum difference. That momentum difference would have really cost him just ever so slightly. So unfortunately, Tim Blum falling back on the inside lane, which means your top three is Max Terrio, Sean Butler, and DJ Anderson, and Richard Murdoch in fourth place. Fifth place being Tim Blum, and I believe Brendan Minto breaks that chain of the playoff drivers being in the top few positions. You see Christopher Rothrock, he is back on track. Much respect to him for trying to get that truck to the end of this race. Terrio, Butler, Anderson, Murdoch, and Blum are your top five. We're going to be watching a possibly brewing battle between Murdoch and Blum to get into the top four to try and get in. Remember, it's still the win and you're in format. So we'll see what happens and what comes of that after this. But this is the Racing Line Broadcasting Network with the Red Light Scrambler Series. We'll be going double wide, and you will not miss a single thing here tonight. This is Bristol. This is the third to final race. Who can lock themselves in and who can make it to the top four for next week in time for Atlanta. Don't go anywhere. And we are back live on the Racing Line Broadcasting Network. You've been seeing a lot of battles, and this has been one of them between Richard Murdoch and Tim Blum, as Murdoch and Blum are essentially battling for the 4th place position in points. You can see how often the 10 is moving down to the inside lane, trying to get some type of an advantage, but it's just not working. Really loose off turn number 4, as we saw there. Barely managing to hang on to it was Tim Blum, so he's gonna, he visibly backs off there for the time being. He'll regroup and he'll try again. And we're gonna go through most of your field here so far tonight. As of the start-finish line, this is as follows: Terrio, Butler, Anderson, Murdoch, Blum, Minto, Orr, Oldani, Lee, and Long. That's your top 10 at the moment. Top 11 being Kyle Souza, Leo Bordage, Joshua Buckley, 2 laps down in 13th. 14th, Kevin O'Brien. 15th being Christopher Rothrock. Kevin O'Brien, not sure what exactly happened to O'Brien. He's been sitting in pit road for quite some time, so we'll see if anything notable had happened to O'Brien, aside from him deciding to go to pit road. It looks like we found the issue, and it wasn't enough to cause a caution here. As we bring up a replay. 184. The 7 Bordage hit the wall. O'Brien went to avoid, and somehow that just wasn't enough to bring out a caution. There goes, looks to be the 2 of Buckley. And the 184 decided to tow it back to pit road then, so unfortunately he will be out for quite some time. If he does choose to continue on, then in that case, maybe doing pretty good, but I don't know. I mean, engine repairs do take about 30 minutes, and it's been 4 minutes and 8 seconds for Kevin O'Brien, unfortunately. Closing in on the halfway portion of this race, nearly 100 laps complete. It will soon be 100 laps to go. Looking forward to what's going to come here in these next few laps. It's been about 50 laps since these drivers have last pitted, and that was just because of a caution. Now, will these drivers pit without a caution? Of course they will. They kind of have to, but how long can they go without pitting is the more important question to ask, the more obvious one. So, thanks everyone for tuning in once again. Max Terrio leads the way around the Bristol. Reintroducing myself, I am, as per usual, the one-man crew at Gary Weaver, doing both commentary and the camera work that you see here for tonight. So thanks everybody once again for tuning in. Hopefully you are enjoying tonight's race, because we have 100 laps complete and we have 100 more to go. James Skelton unfortunately officially out. And the only way he can get into the top 4 of the chase at this point, of the playoffs at this point, is by winning next week at Chicagoland. Murdoch and Blum have been in that position for quite some time, as Tim Blum was tired of using the inside lane, moved up to the top side, nearly bumps DJ Anderson out of the way. So Tim Blum is now in line to advance to the top 5. Question is, can Tim Blum, the top 4. Question is, can Tim Blum retain that top 4 positioning? And as I say that, there goes Richard Murdoch up to the top side, possibly proving me wrong. We'll see what happens here, as it's the L1 versus the 10 as they go side by side. The L1 got that at the start-finish line that time around. So don't count out DJ Anderson. He's also in on this as well. But Tim Blum, however, is very eager to get up into that top 4 once again. Minto, of course, unfortunately not involved directly in the playoffs. We have a little bit of a way back to other drivers that are contending, one of which being William Long, who's currently 10th, Leo Bordage currently in 12th, so they're going to be the first two out, as well as James Skelton, the third driver that's going to be out. Kevin O'Brien has officially retired, unfortunately. So we have Max Terrio, Sean Butler, DJ Anderson. That's 3, 4, 5 being Richard Murdoch and Tim Blum. At least if I sat out this week or they didn't make it, I'm not sure. But that's how close Leo Bordage is to getting lapped. About, looks to be just over 10 car lengths, 10 truck lengths. So double checking the drivers that we have, the driver that did not show up, I believe is, actually I believe all 8 drivers showed up. 5. Yeah, I was just miscounting there for a second, unfortunately. So all 8 drivers are here. Kevin O'Brien, James Skelton, being one of those drivers that are officially out of the running, unfortunately. Leo Bordage, the last driver on the racetrack, and the one that's going to get lapped here in just a couple of moments by Max Terrio, as the caution comes out just in time for Bordage. That saves Bordage. Must have been a quick spin, and it was DJ Anderson from 3rd place all the way down to 9th, unfortunately. Himself, the 01 and the 10 were all in the line heading off of turn number 4, and it was just a small bump by the 01 and Murdoch also got tagged around. It was the entire running of the top 3 there, essentially, not even the top 3. But it was all 3 trucks that were involved in that accident there off turn number 4. And the only one that made it through was a 20 of Brendan Minto. The 10 gets a huge piece of it, so this could really shake things up here. Running on board the 20 of Minto. It says connection just gave out, but still manages to make it by in time. Meanwhile, everybody is back on pit road, and by everybody, I mean quite literally everybody, and already off pit road are majority of these drivers as they make their way off. So it's Max Terrio, Sean Butler, Richard Murdoch, Tim Blum, Brendan Minto. Your top 5, Andy Lee, 6th off pit road, 7th off is Patrick Orr, 8th off is Ryan O'Donnell, 9th is William Long, 10th off, I believe, is Leo Bordage, and it is, as he just gets off of pit road. Somebody nailed the cone over there. So we have a projected 22 minutes remaining, just 22 minutes and 30 seconds remaining as of now. And right when I say that, it jumps up 18 seconds to a frozen 22 minutes 48 seconds, and somehow to an hour, and then back to 22 minutes 48 seconds. So when we go back green, we should have an estimated 23 minutes remaining here in this race, projected by ATVO, which of course is heavily subject to change by cautions. So the lights will be out next time around, and we will be going green with looks to be about 84 laps to go, I believe. Yeah, it should be green with 84 laps to go here at Bristol. So the shootout essentially has begun, and some drivers are on 2 pit stops, that being your entire top 4 of Terrio, Butler, Murdoch, and Blum. It's interesting for Blum especially because he was just involved in a wreck, and he's back up in 4th like it never even happened. Same with Richard Murdoch. He's up in 3rd like it didn't happen. I think both of those drivers actually gained a couple positions. Same with Brendan Minto as the lights are out. We'll be running on board with Richard Murdoch here on this restart to see what he sees, well, for the most part. Right, we'll go deeper into the field. We're right on board with the 25 of Andy Lee as the pace car is off. Green flag is out. We are back racing at Bristol. Oh, contact just in front of Andy Lee as we are riding on board. This is a huge wreck, and it's not going to work out too well. Caution, very delayed by iRacing, does not come out for some reason. It should be thrown by race control, but it will not for some reason. Now it's thrown. Oh, Terrio nearly hits a few drivers off pit road there. We're going to hold off and find out what happened. Hopefully that caution was thrown by race control. But we saw that just as we were riding on board. Unfortunately, it wasn't iRacing caution. But it took long enough for that to trigger. So we'll ride on board again with... actually, we won't ride on board with Andy Lee. But what we will do is get a aerial shot here. So it started from the L1. Richard Murdoch went in front of the 10. Made contact with the 25. About 4 wide there for a few seconds. DJ Anderson was definitely caught up in that. Same with the 2... Joshua Buckley, the 984 of Rothrock, was also caught up in that, and the 4 of Souza was very lucky. So about 5-car incident here off turn number 4. Souza somehow makes it through. He's up to 7th at the moment on the racetrack. You can hear him immediately lift off. And if we switch over to Max Terrio, caution comes out right there. You see the lights turn on just in time. So caution is out for the 4th time tonight. Not too bad for a 200-lap event at Bristol, considering that's Bristol and it's usually Demolition Derby for, well, most of the time because, well, it's Bristol. So let's see what happens here on this restart, as a few drivers have been, while the field essentially has been shaken up drastically. Let's see, we have Max Terrio and Sean Butler positions 1 and 2. Leo Bordage 3rd in points at the moment, projected at least. And DJ Anderson projected to be 4th in points. William Long 5th in points. 6th in points, Richard Murdoch. 7th in points is Tim Blum. And then 8th in points is, unfortunately, the 86 of Skelton, who would decide to retire early on. So if we can talk to somebody after this, in the next if we do get another caution, we'll see if we can talk to somebody. Possibly Max Terrio. Let's see how many laps he's led so far. 88 laps, so nearly half of the race. So very impressive so far tonight. 2nd winningest driver. 2nd, of course, to Sean Butler, who has won 7 races this season. And Max Terrio, looking back at the previous race results, he has won 4 races. So if Max Terrio wins the next 3 races in a row, he'll tie Sean Butler for the most races won this season. So we'll see if Terrio can start off by doing that, because the pace car is pulling off into its safety of one of the 2 pit roads. Green flag is back out. We are underway again at Bristol. And it's a side-by-side drag race. Advantage to the 42 of Max Terrio, but now it's going to go straight back to Sean Butler on the top side. So Sean Butler advances to the lead. As you can see, he has 35 laps led. That was his 35th lap led here tonight. Being caught just a little bit off guard by Terrio's 88 laps. So we'll see where everyone shakes out from here. Moving down to the inside to 981 Patrick Orr, trying to get by Brendan Minto for position number 5 on the racetrack. Minto having some connection issues throughout the night, unfortunately. But we'll see if his internet can hang on. If his internet can hang on for the time being. And so far it has. It's held up for the past near hour that we've been racing. Oh, maybe a little bit of contact between Minto. Sorry, that was between Murdoch and Buckley. Last driver on the lead lap is Tim Blum in the number 10. So immediately going from the top 3 to the bottom half of the field in 12th place. Meanwhile, it's Brendan Minto and Patrick Orr battling it out side by side between themselves. And they quickly sorted that out. So Richard Murdoch is 7th at the moment. With Joshua Buckley breathing down his back bumper. But Buckley, unfortunately, is 3 laps down. Back up front, however, Max Trejo slowly starts to reel in the 88 of Sean Butler. So if that 42 can catch back up to the 88, it would not be the first time. So we can see how this goes as their previous lap times. Now it's advantage to Sean Butler by 0.04 seconds. But Max Trejo somehow, someway is still reeling in that 88. Between these two, it's about, I believe, 11 races combined. Which is a huge majority of the season, 15 races total. And just now realized, unfortunately, that broadcasting to the wrong title. So that will be fixed in just a couple of moments. Not sure why it decided to do that. But we will just change the title to avoid any loss of coverage here for tonight. You can see, however, that Max Trejo has just caught up to Sean Butler as they go side by side, entering turns 1 and 2. And they remain side by side on the exit as they nearly make contact entering turn number 3. It's Sean Butler defending top side, trying to advance with the offense on the inside lane is going to be Max Trejo. We'll see if it's possible for Trejo to really get alongside and by as we're just closing in on 60 laps to go. So Trejo had a shot. He lost that opportunity, but he'll try and go for that race win again. Sorry, that first place once again. He'll do pretty much anything and everything to try and get by. He'll race clean for sure. Question is how clean and for how long can Max Trejo race? As you can see from the onboard here, that's apologies for the lack of much commentary and moving around the race as I should, trying to redo the YouTube side of scheduling. But nonetheless, you can see that Sean Butler is just trying to do whatever he can do as much as he can. to stay in front of that 42, to stay with that lead as well, but may not work out for the time being. May even backfire. We'll find out. As these two drivers approach lap traffic, we'll have near 50 laps to go. As the rest of the race has played out, we'll check on everybody else. We have Ryan O'Donnell in position number 3, Leo Bordage in 4th, 5th place, Brendan Minto not even in the playoffs, but still he's been running in the top 5 for a majority of this race. And he may be running in the top 4 in these next few moments. We'll find out. This could put Leo Bordage back. He's still running 3rd, running 4th in terms of playoff positions. That's Bordage and Murdoch, respectively. Long, Anderson, and Blum are all right next to each other. And we'll take a look at these 3 drivers. Long, Anderson, positions 10 and 11 with a little ways back between each other. Tim Blum has the worst luck, but not as much as James Skelton. James Skelton has been out for 95 laps. And Tim Blum is 1 lap down in position number 12. So Tim Blum is going to need a massive miracle for next week. Possibly another win if he can do that. And hopefully he will be able to. But we'll see if Tim Blum is able to pull it off for Chicagoland next week. It wouldn't be the first time Tim Blum won a race, as he did win at Richmond. So it's under 50 laps to go. We're going to go ahead and go double wide. We're going to focus on the top 2 runners here for the time being, as Sean Butler and Max Terrio battle it out to see who gets locked in to Atlanta, getting a free pass for the next 2 weeks, essentially. We'll see who's victorious here at Bristol. Will it be the most winningest driver, Sean Butler with 7 wins, or will it be Max Terrio with 4 wins and still trying to climb up that ladder? This is the Raceline Broadcasting Network, who won't miss a single thing as we go double wide. Just a few laps to go, Max Terrio had went to pit road as he saw on double wide. As we had 30 laps to go, Terrio just could not hang on any longer, and he has relinquished himself to pit road. He is one lap down in 10th place. Meanwhile, Sean Butler, or pretty much anybody in the top 9, has not yet went to pit road. Sean Butler nearing 60 total laps. That's the same with Patrick Orr and Brendan Minto, as they're nearly about to get lapped. Ryan O'Donoghue is about 6 seconds off of the leader of Sean Butler. Leah Bordage just a little ways behind Ryan O'Donoghue as well. But Sean Butler so far about to break the most laps led of 88 laps so far by Max Terrio. Sean Butler is in line to immediately remove that and replace his name with his amount of laps led, ironically enough, in the number 88. So hopefully that will be the case. 85 laps led now for Sean Butler. Your pole sitter coming into this race was actually Kyle Souza, and he is currently sitting in 7th place. He may be getting lapped here in just a couple of moments. Maybe even within this lap. Make that 2 laps from now. You can hear Sean Butler saving fuel. 63 laps on his stint, constantly saving. He is immediately saving. He's constantly saving. In fact, he's saving to the point where his lap compared to Max Terrio is nearly a second difference. It's a second advantage to Max Terrio. Most of these drivers are your top 4. Pretty much everybody here at this race is now within about 16 seconds. About 15.9. Nope, make that 16.1 seconds. I was looking at William Long's previous lap time. So the fastest driver on this racetrack is Max Terrio. And Sean Butler is not too far behind, or not too far ahead for Max Terrio to unlap himself and possibly get back into the lead after this. And that depends on how long Sean Butler can save, and if he can save enough to really make it to the end of this race. So here comes Max Terrio, 7th place at the moment, 1 lap down. $20 laps to go for Sean Butler. 19 laps to go this time by, actually. And now Max Terrio is officially back on the lead lap. How quickly can he chase down Sean Butler? Will Sean Butler save to the end of the race, or will he decide to relinquish his lead and go to pit road? Sean Butler's still constantly saving. Leo Bordage is 9.3 seconds back, so Bordage may also be saving. Nope, not at all. Extra 7 laps for Bordage, actually. So this may not help out Sean Butler. He's been on track, and he hasn't really went to pit road for 71 laps. I think that's 72 as he crosses the start-finish line. This time around, there he goes. So he's saving as much as possible, and, well, his distance compared to Max Terrio is about turn 4. And it's been 5 laps. Terrio is trying to work his way through the lap cars as quickly as he can. I'm not sure. I don't know. We'll find out. Because it wouldn't be the first time I've seen somebody run out of fuel in the lead. There's 2nd place of Leo Bordage. Here's William Long. Sorry, not William Long. Wrong driver. Apologies. There's Max Terrio. Andy Lee is directly in front of him in 4th. Brendan Minto directly in front of him in 3rd. Directly in front of him is Leo Bordage. The only farthest one across the racetrack, essentially, is Sean Butler. And Max Terrio is trying to chase down all these drivers, trying to chase down Sean Butler, or at least get up into 2nd place. Give himself a nice little buffer. We'll find out. It's been 76 laps now, and Sean Butler still has not went to pit road. And still saving is this 88. Max Terrio is now up to second. So now it's the time where we bring up the interval as we have 10.5 laps to go. 10 seconds for Max Terrio to make up. Will it be enough? 10 laps to go. 9 seconds in between Terrio and Butler. Butler trying to save fuel. Max Terrio 27 laps on his stint. Sean Butler 79 laps on his stint. Actually add +1 to both of their stints. 79 laps for Sean Butler to 28 laps for Max Terrio. It's 8.5 seconds. It is rapidly dropping. About 0.5 second advantage, as you can see on the lap times, to Max Terrio. 8 laps to go this time by 8 seconds separating Sean Butler from Max Terrio. What Terrio wants to see is that seconds are shorter than the laps remaining. And it may be working, but I'm not sure how long it can work. 7 laps to go for Sean Butler. 7.5 seconds separating Terrio from Sean Butler, and I think Sean Butler is starting to slowly fall back. More and more. Terrio is closing in. He's actually just gotten around lap traffic, so he has a clear track in front of him to himself and Sean Butler. So this could help out Terrio in a massive way as we have 6 laps to go. 5 seconds, just over 5 seconds, separates both of these drivers. As now we have 5 laps to go. Terrio just rounds turn 4. 5 seconds separates them. We'll bring this graphic back up. Will it be an upset for Sean Butler, or will Sean Butler somehow, with a massive fuel saving strategy, manage to prove victorious? 4 laps to go, 4 seconds in between both of these drivers. At this point, I'm thinking it's Sean Butler. 3 laps to go, 4 seconds separate both of these drivers. Clear track again for Terrio. That's it for Terrio. He's not going to make it. There's no way within 2 laps he can make up 3 seconds. 0.6 seconds advantage to Terrio. 2 laps to go. Sean Butler has been saving very, very heavily. There's Max Terrio. There goes Sean Butler with his error, unfortunately, but it's 1 lap to go. It's for sure going to be Sean Butler with a massive fuel saving strategy and 111 laps led once he crosses the start-finish line, this time by just 2.5 seconds, about 2 seconds, separates himself from Max Terrio. Off turn number 4, Sean Butler wins at Bristol and advances automatically to Atlanta. Max Terrio finishes second. Third place, Brendan Minto. If Max Terrio didn't have that traffic, he more than likely would have won that race. A little bit of bump of a congratulations as the fireworks go off at Bristol Motor Speedway. They're here somewhere. They're around here somewhere. There they are. So the fireworks going off here at Bristol Motor Speedway. About 4 cautions only tonight. As we watch the fireworks go off, Sean Butler celebrates his win with a burnout. We celebrate with fireworks here at the end of this race. So we'll see what your finishing results are as of right now. Once we get the graphics reset here, a little bit of a technical issue on this end, but now that we have the graphics up, we have Sean Butler, Max Terrio, Brendan Minto, positions 1, 2, and 3. Andy Lee, Kyle Souza finishing 4th and 5th. William Long, 6th place. 7th place is Ryan O'Donnell, 8th place. Richard Murdoch, 9th place. DJ Anderson, 10th place is Tim Blum. Rounding out the rest of your field is Leo Bordage, Patrick Orr, and Joshua Buckley. Christopher Rothrock, I believe, was on track at the end of this race. Unfortunately, Kevin O'Brien and James Skelton cannot say the same, as they were both out early on with issues. So we'll get an interview pretty much right now with your top 3 in actually just a few moments' time. This is the Racing Line Broadcasting Network. We'll be back with your top three. Don't go anywhere.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
And we are back live here on the Racing Line Broadcasting Network with your top three interviews here for the night. And first up is going to be the
sound microphone activated.
Apologies for that. Next up is going to be the number 20. I thought I disabled that. Of Brendan Minto finishing in third place. So a very successful race for this number 20 early on. Started 14th, made a bunch of positions up, and managed to finish off in third place. So unfortunately, Brendan, you are, while you're not in the playoffs, you still prove that you still have the momentum to stay in that for sure.
Yeah, I definitely had a lot of fun out here racing. I just want to stay out of everybody's way that was actually trying to get in and make it to the next round. But whenever the opportunity is there, got to make it and pass people and get a top three.
Yeah, it's definitely a great. Forgot how words worked for a second there. No idea what my brain wanted to do, but yeah, definitely a great performance. There we go. Of that number 20 tonight. So heading into Chicagoland for next week, what are you just looking forward to? Just racing your own race, letting everyone else by as per usual. Just pretty much just racing your own race, I assume.
Yeah, I like running Chicagoland. It's a lot of fun, but a lot of room. So yeah, I like giving up space to the people actually competing. Like that's why last week at Indianapolis, I got the pole and I kind of just got out of the way for everybody.
That's why you drop back. That makes a lot more sense.
Oh yeah.
Well, before we go ahead and let you go, is there anyone that you'd like to give a shout here for tonight?
Oh yeah, my dad, he's always watching. So I say hi, Dad, and my good friend Bill's watching. So thanks for watching, man. And definitely, I'd like to say thank you to you for on these great broadcasts.
I'm going to go ahead and let you go. It's definitely a pleasure. Thanks for your time as well. We're going to go ahead and let you go. Said that twice already. Congratulations on your third place finish.
All right, thanks, Gary.
It's been a long night. Do I have that excuse yet? Oh my goodness. We're gonna move on towards my goodness. It has been a long night. Apparently, it's been a long, just over an hour. Apparently, I don't have an excuse for that. We're gonna move on towards your second place finisher now, and that certain second place finisher being Max Terrio, who, well, he had a great run heading into the final few laps of the race. Unfortunately, though, lap traffic held him up, and well, like I said, Max, I mentioned it as well just at the end of the race, that without that lap traffic, you probably would have caught Sean Butler by the end.
Yeah, I feel like the last restart, that's where I lost the most. If I could have gotten in front of Sean and, gain a lead, but I was stuck behind him for so long that I pitted earlier than I planned. Hopefully, I hope that it would have helped in the long run, but yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah, on the bright side, though, you do have a little bit of an extra buffer heading into Chicagoland next week. So, what are your thoughts for that race?
Just a clean race. I don't remember having that much success at Chicagoland, so we'll see how practice goes this week. But just hoping for a clean race next week and maybe move on points or get a win.
Hopefully that is the case. So before we go ahead and let you go, anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to for your second place finish tonight?
Yeah, shout out to my girlfriend and my friend Max and Maximilian. Hope they enjoyed the race. I think it was a good Bristol race overall, so they enjoyed it. For track racing is always bumping and banging, and we had some green flag runs. a couple of long green flag runs, which you don't always get on short track. So that was fun.
That's definitely exciting to watch as well. So we're going to go ahead and let you go. Congratulations again on your second place finish tonight. We hope to see you next week.
Thanks, Gary. Keep up the good work. Man.
Thanks. So finally, we move on to possibly again we already know. So moving on to now the most winningest driver here in this series, and he already knows how this is going to go because he's done this 7 times prior. Hi, Sean. How are you doing?
Hey, fancy talking to you, Gary.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Something vaguely familiar about talking to you. I'm not sure what that is.
Yeah. Oh man, it was a hard fought battle with Max. I didn't have anything for Max. I just was able to get out front of him there, and then once he hit pit road, I just went max fuel saving mode.
Yeah, I noticed because you've been saving for the past the final 20 or so laps as well. So I'm surprised you actually managed to still hold off. Well, not exactly hold up, but still finish in front of Max Terrio. Although I did mention that Terrio probably would have caught up to you if he had a clear track in front of him. So in a way, you got lucky, but at the same time, it's also dominance as well. So I think that's what your first race that you won while saving fuel and still had enough to do a burnout.
Yeah, that was it said I was like 5 laps to the good there towards the end, but since Max was so far behind me, I just kept saving. I wanted to make sure I had enough fuel in case I had to actually go for it there at the end. Yeah, like I said, I got lucky on that restart, able to clear Max and just able to keep him behind me. I had to pinch him down there when he got under me, and yeah, if he got out front of me, it would have been all a different game. I probably would have short pitted him.
That's absolutely wow. That backfire is actually impressive in slow motion. Anyway, yeah, it's definitely somehow, some way you still managed to finish out in front. So that is impressive in its own right. So I would ask about Chicagoland, but I mean you won, so you advanced to Atlanta. So what are your thoughts for? Well, I guess we'll go with both. We'll go Chicagoland and Atlanta since it's both in that order the next 2 weeks. What are your thoughts for those 2 races?
Well, for next week, my thoughts are with my teammates James and DJ, trying to help them to make it. It'd be pretty cool to have 3 team cars in the final chase, but I think I'll have a pretty good car at Chicago. It's just you never know. I mean, these setups week to week, who knows what it's going to be like and who's going to be the fastest. But fortunately for me, my other league runs the A car at Atlanta on Wednesday, so I get a nice little practice here this week.
It's going to be interesting for sure heading into the next 2 weeks. So before we go ahead and let you go, I'm pretty sure you get this question already since, well, you already know. Who would you like to give a shout out to for your race win tonight?
Definitely give a shout out to my teammate DJ. He let me know about that middle to low line there and how it was actually pretty fast, and that's the way I held off Max that last run there. And without him telling me how to get in there, I don't think I would have been running down there. I would have kept running my high line. So hats off to him for helping me out, and congrats to him for sticking it in there and getting a top 10 after with a wrecked car and everything. So hopefully we can see what we can do next week for our team.
Hopefully it is good times next week at Chicagoland and as well as Atlanta for you. So we're going to go ahead and let you go. Congratulations again on your 8th win this season. My goodness.
Thank you very much, sir.
Come to think about it, he's won 8 races out of 15. That's nearly 2/3 of the entire season. So that is, wow, that is just an amazing thought. So before we go ahead and sign off, as per usual, upcoming races here on the Racing Line Broadcasting Network. Next, this coming Thursday, is the Fuel Jetstream Media IndyCar Series with their 125 lap event at Michigan International Raceway, Michigan Speedway, whatever it's called at this point. It's going to be pretty interesting to see what comes of that. So the following Sunday, this coming Sunday, is going to be... Actually, no, not this coming Sunday. Next Monday will be... For some reason... that's on the wrong section there, unfortunately. Next Thursday, next Monday, I don't know days anymore, will be the Chicagoland Speedway. 3 drivers essentially will be trying to make it in. 7 drivers definitely racing it out to try to make it into Atlanta Motor Speedway. And then Sunday, May 5th is the Cage Cup Series at Chicagoland. Goodness gracious. Richmond, what is going on with my brain today? I have absolutely no idea. Well, as we sign off here from Richmond, oh my goodness, yep, see? As we sign off here from Bristol Motor Speedway, we'd like to congratulate Sean Butler once again on his win for tonight. Fireworks on the racetrack, about 4 cautions, I believe, as well for tonight's race. Absolutely impressive job by everybody here tonight. We hope to see you next time here on the Racing Line Broadcasting Network. Remember to subscribe to catch these final few races. Just as a reminder, June 13th is the last race of this season. Last race of the Racing Line Broadcasting Network for the time being, to focus on, life and other things, mostly life. So hopefully we will be back after that, after everything is settled out over there after June 13th, as that will be the last race with the finale of the Fuel Jetstream Media IndyCar Series. But the finale is going to be soon, in the next 2 weeks here for the Red Light Scrambler Series. If you're here exclusively for that series, we hope to see you next time. So thank you all for watching once again, and good night from Bristol.